Hello friends, and welcome back to another Adobe InDesign video. Today we're going to be talking about transforming objects using the Pathfinder panel. While we are all familiar with the Pathfinder panel due to our use of Adobe Illustrator, Adobe's InDesign's Pathfinder is a little different, and our use of it is a little different when using this particular panel. One of the things you should note right away, if you look at the panel that I've got pulled up right here, is it does look a little different than the one that you're used to seeing in Adobe Illustrator. I am going to go to Window and I'm going to go down to Object and Layout in order to find this panel. Unlike some of the other Adobe softwares that have pretty much everything listed in a long list of alphabetized panels, InDesign tends to group their panels a little bit more because there's so many more of them. So while it looks like there are less panels for this program, there are a lot more than you see in any of the other programs. So we are going to go to Object and Layout, and we're going to open up the Pathfinder panel. I've got it right here floating for you, and you can see that it's divided up into 4 separate sections. InDesign says it's 3. It uses the convert section as 1, but I typically count this as 4, and I'm going to teach it as 4 separate sections for today. The activity behind my Pathfinder panel here has a series of different sections that are going to take you through all of the different areas of the Pathfinder panel. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start with talking about paths and how to manipulate paths. Some of the things that we can do in InDesign's path commands under the Pathfinder panel are similar to tools that we use in Adobe Illustrator. For example, the join tool exists in Illustrator. In here, we call this the join path. So we are going to work on manipulating these in order to set up and be able to modify objects while we're in here. So first, I'm going to make sure that I have these 2 lines that match your worksheet. I accidentally deleted mine by accident. So what we're going to do is we're going to take these 2 lines with our selection tool. We're going to make sure that we have both selected. Once they're selected, we are going to move over to our direct select tool in order to activate the join option. And then I'm going to click kind of in these 2 anchor point areas that I want, and then I'm going to click the join path. It's always going to kind of default to the left side if you just kind of select everything, and I'll undo if I just drag it all and then click it. It's still going to, I have to kind of select the 2 anchor points that I want to have it with. If you have just the regular selection tool and you do it, it should default, yep, there it goes, to the left-hand side. One of the problems, the only problem I have with this tool is it's the same problem I have with the Illustrator tool, is I have to do it again in order to activate both sides. You cannot just click on the 2 lines and have both sides join. It's only going to join one at a time, and you do have to reselect in order to do that. One of the other things that you also have the option to do is to open a path that already exists. So in this rectangle that you should have on your worksheet, this is a solid rectangle, and I want to join and take this joined corner here, and I want to open it up. One of the only issues I have with this particular option is when I click open, it doesn't show it right away. A lot of times students will not realize it is. You do have to go into your direct select and then grab an individual anchor point to open and manipulate that. And you can only do one corner. If you see I click over here, even if I click it again, it's not going to open up that corner. So it only opens it once because it went from a closed path to an open path. You can, however, rejoin them if you wish to, which is kind of nice, and close your path. Or we can use the closed path option, which is exercise number 3. So I'm going to grab this, and again, very simply, I'm just going to close that path. Unlike, I think the logical thing would be this line would be moved up to here, but what it's going to do is just add another set of paths to unite that and get us a closed shape. The last option is reverse the path, and it's pretty self-explanatory. It allows you to take this path and just simply reverse what is there. It flips it around. It's just a quick way to reverse something like arrowheads, or if you have maybe a gradient or something like that. So just show me that you can reverse those paths for me. And that is the path section. The next section, which is your Pathfinder section, should look much more familiar to you. Like with any Pathfinder in Illustrator, you do have to have multiple objects selected. One of the things I do like is in the Properties panel, this does pop up as soon as you have 2 objects selected automatically. It will give you those choices. If you just have one, you'll see that it does not pop up on my properties panel until I have that second one selected. Do me a favor and just go through the 5 that I've got here for you and just kind of look at what they do and how they do that. We've got add, subtract, intersect, exclude, and minus. You will see that there are less choices for this particular section in InDesign than there is in Illustrator, but I think these are the 5 best. These are the 5 that I usually use the most. One of the other things I do want you to note is whatever shape is on top, whatever color is on top is always going to be the color that is what stays. So for this one though, if you'll look, whatever is the back, because we're doing subtract, which is it's going to take whatever's in the front to the back. What's left behind is the back, so we get that red. When we intersect, it's going to leave behind the blue because that was what was on top. And we're just going to rock and roll through the rest of these, just seeing kind of what they do and how they are used on that Pathfinder panel. I am not going to show you how to do 5, 6 is because you just need to figure out what shapes did I use to create the Pac-Man and the ghost here. I did give you a hint and I told you how many shapes that I used in order to do this, but I did not tell you which Pathfinder options. The other hint I will give you is I did have to use multiple steps in order to get Pac-Man, and I had to use multiple Pathfinders to get the ghost. For number 7, you're just going to make your own complex shape using some of these Pathfinder commands. Try to use at least 4 or more shapes for me. We're just practicing our skills as always. This one's really neat. This does not exist in Illustrator, is the ability to convert your shapes. There's a whole section, if you'll see here, that allows you to go through. It won't always work for everything. I have put shapes that it will work for the command that I've asked for. So you can take this oval and convert it to a rectangle. You can take it and convert it to a rounded rectangle. You can do it into the beveled rectangle. There's all sorts of choices. What you cannot do is take a line and convert it a straight line and convert it to something like oh, I'm a liar. It did work. Sometimes it doesn't work. If I take the polygon, there it is. That's the one I was thinking of. You can't take a circle and convert it into like a line, for example. That's not going to work. But once you've converted something to a shape, it will not always go back the way you want it to. So just kind of be aware. And not every shape is going to work. I can't make certain shapes into circles, for example. I can't make certain shapes into rectangles. It just kind of depends. And the program's a little finicky about what it will and will not allow you to do. But go through here and I want you just to kind of see how you can convert these shapes. There's a couple, 10 and 11, for example, that are not really shapes that exist in your default shapes panel. So those are nice options to have. The last section is going to be going through converting points. This allows you, kind of like your anchor point tool, to convert shapes. Now, this tool does exist in InDesign, your convert direct point tool. They changed the name for some reason. Instead of anchor point tool, it's called the convert direction point tool, but it works exactly the same way. But in the Pathfinder, if you happen to have this already up, you can take some of these angles and change them, but you do have to have the direct select tool in order to manipulate these and change them. I don't always particularly like to use this option because I like to have the kind of manipulative control where I can do it myself independently, but it is nice if you're trying to take like something like this that's really straight and curve it out. You do have to use the direct select in order to manipulate these, but it'll give you some practice on manipulating these various tools and selecting the anchor point that you want to modify. If you select all of them by dragging, you can then do the whole shape. There is the smooth and there is the symmetrical, which do a little different, and I just want you to see how those are a little different from each other. The last exercise is just kind of combining tools. What I've asked you to do is draw 2 different complex shapes below. I'm asking you to use at least 6 shapes and 4 different Pathfinder options that we've mastered here on the worksheet. This is just, again, taking these skills, continuing to apply them to more complex designs in order to master them more effectively. That's all I've got for you for today. Hopefully this has added another set of tools to your arsenal while using Adobe InDesign that will help you make better layouts as you grow. Thanks, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like this video. See you next time.